So I was fortunate enough to meet up with Ron Hubbard, the founder and owner of the Atlas Survival Shelter Company. They're one of the largest bunker building companies in the world. He agreed to sit down and do an interview to talk about all the ins and outs of building bunkers. So let's get to it. If you want to save 5% off one of these bunkers, tell Ron Canadian Prepper sent you, and be sure to go out and check out Atlas Survival's awesome YouTube channel. You won't regret it. Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. So today I got Ron Hubbard from Atlas Survival Shelters, who's a world-renowned, builds survival shelters for people all over the world. And he's going to answer some questions today with regards to, what it takes to build a proper survival shelter, and just some general questions about emergency preparedness, what your shelters are for. And Ron actually happened to come down to Saskatchewan, because he's got a place in Saskatchewan, which is where I live. And I was very surprised when you messaged me, because I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a scam originally, because,
What'd I say?
No, because you had written a comment on, or you sent me a message, and you said, hey, I'm the owner of Atlas Survival Shelters, and I have a house in Saskatchewan. And I was like, what are the odds that the guy who builds bunkers all over the world happens to live in the middle of nowhere in Saskatchewan, right? So, but it turns out that this is just a seasonal house for you all here. So, yeah, we did a bit of duck hunting today, and it's good to see you, man.
Got your dog to like me finally. Yeah, look at that. He's let me pet him.
Yeah, for the first time, and on camera too. Yeah, so I don't know, tell us a bit about what you do.
Well, I mean, I've been a steel fabricator for 37 years. Okay, and I started off making ornamental iron. I started my company when I was 19 years old, and I sold it when I was like 23 or 24. Then I moved to Florida and started building stairs and rails for apartment complexes and high-rises, the little fire escape stairs. So my buddy, Brian, says, hey, go on YouTube and check out this video of this bomb shelter. And this was about 10 years ago. So I went on, has it even been 10 years? YouTube's been around, I guess. But anyway, he saw something.
2005.
Yeah, okay. Then it was about 10 years ago. He said, go check out this bomb shelter on YouTube. So I saw the video. I was like, man, that'd be pretty cool just to have one, because we have a ranch in Texas. I was like, that'd be fun just to have one. We'll go down there and we'll hang out, and we use it for deer hunting and hog hunting, and then we'll just make it a man cave, and if shit ever hits the fan, we got a bunker, So I was going to buy one from a guy that made them, and but I'm being a steel fabricator, I could recognize good workmanship and quality, so I went and saw the guy, and I looked at what he had. It was just a steel pipe with a wood floor, and there was nothing to it. And but I didn't know about the air systems and how to put it in anything. But it took like a year, and I was still going to buy one from the guy. But I ended up making my own. Make a long story short, but I redesigned it. I added an escape tunnel. I added a mud room. I made an airtight door, because it was just, all he had was like a pipe that you would go down and you're inside a pipe.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I had all those questions, like all the comments I get on my YouTube channel. What if somebody does this? What if somebody finds their hatch? What if somebody does? Well, look, I had the same questions. What if somebody does that? So I basically redesigned the bunker from the ground up, filed for a patent on it, and got the patent on the round culvert shelter that I make today. Other countries are picking up on it, the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Europe. So there aren't very many people who make bunkers in the world. And I keep coming up with new ideas and new concepts to make bunkers. Yeah. And so I used to have just a round bunker. Now I've got a square bunker. I've got a monolithic bunker. I've got a concrete bunker. I've got so many. I make every type of bunker that exists, and I've created some new types.
Who would you say is your customer base? What are people coming to you looking for typically?
Most of the people who buy the bunkers are successful, conservative business owners. Or now it's a lot of militaries are coming to me. In the Middle East, India, like right now, India is putting in 14,750 bunkers. Yeah, but they're for artillery. Okay, so they're worried about artillery, not nuclear war or anything else. So what I did is I brought back the the Anderson shelter. Now, if people want to Google the Anderson shelter, they'll see it was a shelter, like 1 million of them were installed in the United States and mostly in London. And they're corrugated pipe, and when the air raids were going off, people would run into their Anderson shelter, and they would stay in there during the bombardment of London when the Germans were attacking. So I basically brought that shelter back to life to fulfill the needs for the Indian government for these 14,750 bunkers. But you know, you give them an idea, they end up just doing it themselves. So right. I think they end up just doing them themselves because they ended up not buying them from me, but they are doing them themselves. But they had such a low budget. Yeah. I'm talking, they had like a $1,500 budget per bunker. And I was thinking, oh my God, I thought they were going to do like some big fancy $100,000 bunkers. Now they want to put in like $1,500 just to protect the civilians in the Kashmir province between Pakistan and India. They keep fighting over that little province, that area called Kashmir. And so anyway, but there's always going to be a demand for some sort of disaster shelter, whether it be a doomsday shelter, a tornado shelter, a hurricane shelter, a safe room, a blast shelter, whatever. There's a lot of different types of shelters. There's just not one shelter, but some of my shelters are good, what I call all disaster shelters. In other words, they can put in one shelter and it will handle everything across the board. Where you can't use a tornado shelter for fallout, but you can use a fallout shelter for tornadoes. You understand that?
Right. So do you find now, you were telling me before that people who are buying your shelters are not just preppers, they're people who just want a safe spot in their house, like not for doomsday necessarily, but as a panic room or as a room.
I've created a whole new line of bunkers called the NATO series. Okay, there's Bomb NATO, Wine NATO, NATO Safe, NATO Pod, Fire NATO, and some other NATO in there. I can't remember them all, but they're all for different purposes. The Fire NATO was designed for California wildfires. So when they rebuild the house and they pour the slab, the shelter is underneath the floor, and it's just for materials. It's not for people. Okay, and they only cost like $7,000, but it's 8 feet by 8 feet square, and you can put a lot of personal valuables and leave it in there as an underground fire vault. Okay. So if you leave the country, you go on vacation, and the wildfires hit, you come back, your house isn't burnt down. I mean, your house is burnt down, you still have all those irreplaceable private possessions. So then I have the NATO Pod, which is a walk-in tornado shelter for the garage, costs like $3,500. I have the Wine NATO, which is also called Safe Cellar. We market it under two brands, Safe Cellar and Wine NATO. But this is the one that has the stairs that you walk in, and it has a door, and you open it up, and it's a wine cellar, or it's a gun room, or a panic room, or a bomb shelter, or a fallout shelter, or a tornado shelter. But the way we illustrate it in the catalog, which you saw, the stairs are hidden underneath the kitchen island. So it has the secret entrance with the secret room. So that one's catching a lot of traction. And the fact that it only cost like $20,000, the builders are going bonkers over it because they're just going to put them in their high-end spec houses because it has that wow factor.
Right.
And it's just cool. Who doesn't want a secret room with a secret entrance? You don't have to be a doomsdayer to want a bunker. You just got to enjoy the idea of having a little secret room.
Well, and I think, most people, the use you're going to get out of it, I mean, heaven forbid doomsday ever happens, but most people's use out of it is going to be more practical, like putting your belongings in there if you're not there, or acting as a safe room, or just a vault within your house, a secret room. So
people like Oklahoma, they're going to have a tornado shelter anyway. So why not have a tornado shelter that can be used as a root cellar, or a gun room, or a panic room, or a storage room for a few $1,000s more? Because the thing is, like, back in 1914 or whatever year it was, at 1918, when Henry Ford came out with the Model T, he made an affordable car that every average working American could afford. Okay? Up until I came out with this new line of shelters, only the rich people could afford bunkers. Now everybody can afford a bunker because I have shelters starting under $20,000. And I set out to do that. I'm not going to get rich making these, but it gives everybody, every average person watching this video, a chance to have a bunker, not just all the millionaires and billionaires. Because those guys, every billionaire has a bunker. Every single billionaire has a bunker. The super rich should always have a bunker. And if you can afford to have a bunker and you don't have a bunker, you're kind of an idiot, because it's a one-time payment for an insurance plan that you hope you never need, but you have it just in case. But it's kind of the man who has everything. You know, he has the cars, the planes, the boats, the wine cellar, the swimming pool, you know, the hot girlfriend or whatever on the side.
Yeah.
The bunker is the coolest thing. I have so many guys say this fulfills such a lifelong fantasy. And it really does. Having a bunker is the coolest thing, because I've had planes and I've had everything, but putting my bunker in the ground was one of the most coolest moments of my life. It's like, but I never dreamed about it my whole life, but once I saw one, I had to have one.
One of these days, once I get my land, you're going to be the first guy I call for sure. What are some of the most important, like for people who watch my channel, it varies from people who are just prepping for, you know, the 3-day emergencies, the weather disasters, to people who are preparing for full-blown SHTF. What are the most important features of a quote-unquote doomsday bunker, would you say?
Secrecy, accessibility. You got to be able to get to it. You see, this is the thing. Now, I'll talk more about it, and you can talk more about it, but people, when you're going to bug out, where are you going to bug out to? You see, I am developing a bug out community 167 miles exactly from my shop, 167 miles. I got 70 acres, and I'm going out there and I'm putting in bunkers for me and my group, let's call it, okay? So all we have to do is get from point A to point B. I have a plan. So the preppers, you got to have a plan. Where are you going to go? You just don't wander like, what was that movie that Denzel Washington was in? We had the glasses.
Book of Eli.
Yeah, the Book of Eli. You just don't wander. At least he even had a mission. He was trying to get to San Francisco to that island out there, you know, and then he sat there and quoted the Bible. But you got to have a place to go. You just don't wander out. So now if you're going to go into the woods and set a camp, well, at least have a site picked out. So I do dry runs from Los Angeles if I can't get to my property. What would happen if I went this way? Well, I went that way one day. I did a pretend run and see how far it was, and I saw how much water there was. But when I got to the end of it, it's a dead-end canyon about 30 miles in, and there was already 20,000 people on a weekend there from Los Angeles. And I'm like, well, there's no food here. There's some water, and people are going to be killing people. It's like, I don't want to go down this road. So I found some property that's like, literally, to get to this property, you got to go through about a 20-mile canyon, and it gets as narrow as 40 feet in places, where I could literally block the canyon off and nobody could get into this whole area. You know, you'll see it on TV. It's going to be pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a fortress and a bunker? Because people seem to have, well, everybody on the internet is an expert, as you know, having a YouTube channel now with videos that have just went viral, you've experienced. Can you clarify, like, what do you get for $50,000 versus what do you get for $1 million?
Okay, so yeah, I have the Atlas Survival Shelter YouTube channel, and I put out the videos of the bunkers, and then I read the comments. Well, if somebody could just do this to get into your bunker, well, you know what? I built that bunker with a $50,000 budget. If you want me to make a fortress that they can't get into, give me $1 million budget. But I'm doing the best bunker I can. A fallout shelter is just designed to protect you from fallout. A bomb shelter is designed to protect you from bombs. And a fortress is designed to keep people out. Okay? What they're seeing on my channel are not fortresses, but they're seeing bomb shelters and fallout shelters. So they've got it mixed up. So I read the comments like, well, somebody could just do this to get in there. But you know what? Unless they're carrying an acetylene torch with them, they're not going to get into the shelter, okay? But I'm not making a shelter for most people that somebody couldn't get into if they had the right tools. But the average guy that is evading Los Angeles or some city isn't going to be carrying nothing but a backpack full of food and maybe a pistol or a shotgun or rifle, and they're not going to get into that bunker, you know, because it's got an AR-500 bulletproof lid. It's got an escape tunnel, so if somebody is trying to go into the hatch, all the guy inside has to do is pop out of the ground like a gopher and shoot that guy in the back, and he's history. And all the bunkers are designed with an escape tunnel. Now, some bunkers are small and they don't have them, okay? But that's a $15,000 bunker. All they got to do is pay like $5,000 more. They can have the escape tunnel. But some people don't have that budget, or they don't have the space, or the shelter they're buying is a tornado shelter / fallout shelter. So, you know, I don't like it when I see the comments, well, somebody could just, how are they going to get out of there? Well, how are you going to get out of a bathroom? You know, I mean, there's one way in and one way out of a bathroom. In certain shelters, there's one way in and one way out. But the bigger bunkers, the more luxurious and more expensive ones, there's one way in and two ways out. Okay? And this is why I made my own bunker, because when I was looking at the bunker, it had one way in and one way out. And the hatch wasn't airtight. And I was like, well, what if somebody gets smoke down in there? They're going to smoke you out. So I put a gas-tight door on my bunkers that would keep out carbon monoxide. I did a lot of things that made my bunker that I make now literally, it'd be very tough to get in. Matter of fact, if you lose the keys to my bunker, it's going to cost like $5,000 to get in, because we're going to have to torch the lid. So you got to buy a new lid. That's about $4,000. You're going to have to re-pour the concrete, another $1,000. So if you lose the keys to the lock to get in there, it's going to cost some serious money, because the lock itself is a big chunk of stainless steel. You can't torch stainless steel. You can't grind through stainless steel. The only thing you do is torch through the lid. It's AR-500, but you can torch through it like regular steel. I'll do a YouTube video trying to blow one up, see what it takes to get into it. But we've already done it before. We can't get into it. We've done explosives. We shot it with machine guns. You've seen that. It's like, you're just not going to get into it. You know, I mean, now, there's always a way. You could break into a bank vault. Look, you could break into a bank vault if you have the right equipment. And people
time,
do that.
Time and equipment, you can get into any.
You got time and equipment, you can get into any bunker.
What would you say is the biggest security risk with a bunker in terms of people trying to get into it? Well, I guess it would depend on what kind of bunker you had.
Well, if you have a bunker, first of all, you don't want anybody to know that you have the bunker. Okay, you know the episode of Twilight Zone, The Shelter. You know, the guy has the bunker, and the neighbors are making fun of him, and then it comes on the news that missiles are coming in from Russia, and so everyone's over at that guy's house trying to break in. Matter of fact, I just put out a YouTube video called, I forgot what it was called, but it's basically showing that clip from the shelter where the guys are trying to break into the vault, and at the end it says if he'd had an Atlas survival shelter, they wouldn't have got into his bunker. They got into his bunker.
I think I did see that one.
Yeah, but yeah, keeping your bunker private is very important. So it's not for show and tell to have the kids bring all the other kids over to show it. Because if shit ever does hit the fan, you're going to have a lot of people you didn't know trying to get into your bunker. And I would be one of them. Yeah. You know, I mean, if you really thought you were going to get blown up, you would kill the guy in there to save your family. Yeah. So I always say a bunker is more private than your bank account. Because you just can't go around bragging about it. That's why people don't. It's why we don't get a lot of Google reviews and because they're keeping quiet. Matter of fact, when someone buys a bunker from me, I don't even know their last name, and they send me the money by wire transfer. I don't take checks, so the wire transfer doesn't have a name attached to it; just has an amount. So we know the wire's coming in, and when I ship them the bunker, let's say it's Nate and we're in Saskatchewan, I would well, let's say you're in Colorado, Nate in Colorado, I would just ship it to Nate in Colorado to an address of a McDonald's, and then from there you tell the people where to go. So we have to keep a bill of lading record where everything goes, but I don't have the final address, so I don't know where my bunkers are at. A lot of people just install them themselves. If you can change 4 tires on a car, you can install one of my bunkers, because there's only 4 pipes that bolt on. It's that easy. So a lot of people will install their own bunker just so nobody knows about it.
Would you still have to hire an excavator?
Well, you can rent an excavator, but if you don't know how to operate an excavator, you can. We have guys that will fly in from Texas or California, and they charge $600 a day, and they'll fly in and they'll do the installation. So like we just finished up the installation of a shelter in Montreal yesterday. The guy flew in from California, went to Montreal, installed a bunker, and flew back. And he bought the bunker like 6 months ago. He let it sit there, I guess, since like May.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he just now put it in before winter comes. Yeah, so we can always bring people in to do that.
And what is the average depth that you would suggest putting a bunker at for general purposes?
Deeper is always better. I mean, if you could go 1,000 feet deep, you'd want to. The problem is you can't get machinery to dig that deep. I like to go 10 feet deep. The reason being is the climate. 6 feet is the minimum depth that you really want to be, because at 6 feet, the ground temperature stabilizes and you have a constant temperature, and you can keep the bunker between 56 and say 62 degrees. Now a root cellar, the basic temperature of a root cellar is around 58. Okay, but soil, I've done so many bunkers now, I know this. The average temperature in soil in Texas is different than the average temperature of soil in Minnesota. Okay, because it's colder there and it will freeze down sometimes 10, 11 feet. So I try to get my bunkers as deep as I can in places like Alaska or Minnesota or Canada, where the ground will freeze really deep. So 10 to 12 feet is about the deepest we can go, because the excavator has to dig a hole that's 21 to 22 feet deep.
Right.
But 6 feet is the minimum you typically want to go, because then you can control the temperature. It could be 100 degrees outside, but you go down in the bunker and it could be 60 degrees.
And so do you ever have people who will build like root cellars within bunkers, like to go even deeper?
I don't. No, my clients aren't buying the bunkers to make root cellars. You know,
but I mean, like as a method of long-term food preservation.
Well, because the bunker's 60 degrees down there, because all of the bunkers I make have an interior door. You know, it's like the refrigerator in a house. You walk through the front door of your house. No matter even if you leave the front door open, when you open the refrigerator door, the refrigerator is going to stay the same temperature. Okay, but if you leave the refrigerator door open and you open the front door, that refrigerator is going to warm up real quick. So that's why I put an interior door down in my bunker. So you got to go through the hatch on the surface that's bulletproof, go down the stairs or the ladder, then you come up to a marine grade type of door like you see on the ship, you know, with a big round handle, but I usually use a lever because women can't turn the bar, but the lever, women can open it. So we always do the lever bar with a 6-dog lock. So when you press it down, 6 dogs will lock the thing. So it's gas tight. Now the reason I have these doors now for 2 reasons. One, it keeps the bunker cool at 60 degrees, so all your food stays nice and preserved. 2, it keeps the gases out, the radiation and the carbon monoxide. Okay, so if there was a nuclear bomb, you're going to have all these fires going off. You're going to have fires, and fires create the carbon monoxide. It would choke you out to death. So you got to keep the gases and the smoke out of the bunker, and it keeps it nice and cool. And because my bunkers have a mud room, okay. So if you had to stay in the bunker for an extended amount of time, you can open the door, throw your trash or dead bodies into the hallway, because they're going to create methane gas, and then close the door and keep the methane gas and the smells out. People don't think about that, but people will die in your bunker, and you got to get rid of the body, but you can't go to the surface. So the mud room serves as a trash room and a morgue until you can get out of the bunker. When the military came to me, they brought me plans, which are the basic design of my bunker now. I would like to take credit for making it all, but actually U.S. military and the Corps of Engineers gets a lot of the credit. They came to me and said, look, we want to do business with you, but you have to do secret air pipes. People need to understand that the air pipes on my shelters, you can't just walk up to an air pipe and pour gas or water into my air pipe and get some out of my bunkers. Now, maybe other bunkers you can, and probably most other bunkers you can do that. This is another thing. My air pipes are always hot dip galvanized steel for two reasons. One, steel is strong, galvanized too, so it won't rust. But by putting a fallout shelter with a PVC pipe, you'll see people that make shelters and they use PVC pipe. It's plastic. Well, it can be pushed over, kicked over by a cow. It can be melted. It's a fallout shelter. And people got to understand PVC air pipes for a fallout shelter. It's just designed to keep the alpha, beta, and if you're in the bunker, the gamma radiation away from your body. The next step up is a bomb shelter. It's got to have the steel air pipes because it's going to get blown away. And then the fortress is going, of course, it's going to have more than steel air pipes. It's going to have steel air pipes with concrete all the way around them, so somebody can't actually block the air pipes going into that bunker. All right, so you're not going to get into a fortress. I mean, the Germans during World War II built all kinds of fortresses, and 6-foot thick concrete walls. Look, we do bunkers like that, and they cost millions of dollars. So when people make these comments about, well, all they got to do to get in there, it's like, yeah, great. Let's talk about one of my fortresses that I'm allowed to film. Thing is, the people who buy the fortresses will not allow any cameras, and they make you sign non-disclosures. And these are typically your billionaire guys. But I've had some of them that are very famous that everybody knows get bunkers. I can't even say their name. I can't even hint about them. But yeah, they get fortresses. And they don't care what it costs. I mean, Bill Gates got a bunker built. I don't know who did, and I didn't do it. But I heard rumors that he spent like $20 million on his bunker. And of course that's going to be a fortress.
The best way to support this YouTube channel is to support yourself by gearing up through CanadianPreparedness.com or BugoutRoll.ca. Premium quality gear at the best possible price using the incredibly secure and easy to use Shopify platform. We offer free shipping to the United States for orders over $200 USD and free shipping to Canada over $75. So support the channel by supporting yourself.